Welcome back, Verse, to the spoiler discussion for the Fantastic Four First Steps movie. I will do that every single time I talk about this film because you cannot do that without doing this particular song. Now that we're talking about this film in the spoiler discussion, I'm going to be giving you guys clearly my thoughts on what I liked, what I didn't like, things that I felt like were wasted here. There's a lot to really discuss here. If you've seen my non-spoiler review and you're here, I'm going to now clarify a lot of things that I was talking about, right? So again, final warning, spoilers, so you have been warned. I assume that if you're watching this, it's because you've already seen the film. So let's get into it, huh? I want to start off right off the bat with the story itself. So, in the beginning, we don't necessarily get an entire origin story. They basically tell you right away, you know, the Fantastic Four went into this ship, they're going up into space for like an experiment or to analyze something. They're showing the Fantastic Four right before they go up there, they're gearing up, they're getting ready to go, they're having fun, and then obviously something went wrong. When they came back, they have abilities, and in the film they clarify that they've been the Fantastic Four for about 4 years now, which is interesting. Superman just came out right before the Fantastic Four, right? And in his film he's been Superman for 3 years. Here it's 4 years, so they're both starting off, which is very convenient. This is a bit of a plot hole for me because I'm just like, I don't know if I really believe that. Apparently, because it's a parallel world with this 1950s 1960s theme, right, but like in an advanced setting, the whole world basically relies on the Fantastic Four. Like, they love them. If anything should occur, they basically rely on the Fantastic Four to solve all their problems. And for me, I'm kind of thinking, everyone relies on them? Really? Like, no one argues with them? It's like they're all a bunch of yes men. Like, they just look at the Fantastic Four, and if they feel like, hey, like, we should stop doing this, they're gonna be like, okay, sure. They don't really question them until a certain part of the film later. There are other villains in the film, but they make very minor appearances. Very minor. In the film, they made a cameo to, like, one of the very first villains that the Fantastic Four fought. I was like, oh, I know who that is. They showed Mole Man. I'm gonna be real with you. I love the actor who played Mole Man, okay? My favorite film is Richard Jewell that this guy has been in, okay? I love this guy as an actor. But the character of Mole Man, I hated in this film. He was only in here to do one thing, and that wasn't until the very end of the film. Even the way how he looked, his costume looked like a cosplay. I hated it. I hated Mole Man in this film. And then even in the end, when the Fantastic Four had to talk to Mole Man, and he was just kind of there, and he was like over the top, I couldn't tell if he was faking his persona. I couldn't necessarily tell if he was being serious and really being over the top and talking like it was Shakespeare. Away from me, fool. I don't know. I think that they could have found another way without having to include Mole Man in this film. The Fantastic Four continue to live their lives. They find out that Sue's pregnant, and apparently she's pregnant with one of the most powerful characters in the Marvel Universe, this baby named Franklin. I'm gonna be honest with you, I have no idea who this character is. I've never heard of Franklin before. I'm kind of thinking, is this that character who's like the one above all, that's what I heard? Or is maybe he's someone that's supposed to be as strong as like Sentry? I have no idea who Franklin is, but I get that Franklin has a very powerful power. I know that. That's when the Silver Surfer comes in. When the Silver Surfer comes in, she basically warns everyone that I guess Galactus is coming. And I'm going to be real with you, in the film, the Silver Surfer had a lot of great scenes that I did not expect here. If anything, she has the best scenes in the film. You know, there are about 2 action scenes that involve the Silver Surfer as well as Johnny Storm. And I think they were the best parts of the film. Johnny goes after her, as you saw in the trailers. When he goes up and touches her board, she says something in her language, like one line. And then that one line gets Johnny thinking, basically. The Fantastic Four gets in their ship, they get ready to leave, everyone's like watching over them because they're clearly celebrities, they're excited, they're happy, they're all this stuff. And then when the Fantastic Four goes into space, one of the best scenes in the film that I will say is that when they go to this planet, right, they're looking for Galactus and they're like, where's Galactus? He's supposed to be huge. Reed Richards thought that Galactus was possibly in the planet. And oh yeah, was he in the planet? There is this like gigantic drill that comes out of the planet, and even the Fantastic Four is like, oh shit, right? So they evaded. So the Fantastic Four has this scene where they get to meet Galactus, and then you just see Galactus' eyes just open once they get in there. Like, they just open from like a distance, and man, did Galactus look amazing here. Ralph, who played Galactus, did a fantastic job as a character. As I said, when he speaks, it was like incredibly menacing. You didn't want to mess with Galactus. That's how intimidating he came off. But in the beginning, he didn't really do too much. He was just kind of sitting there, and then right off the bat, Galactus actually makes an offer because the Fantastic Four went to go to Galactus to try to negotiate, basically. And I'm thinking, okay, like, how are they going to talk to Galactus? Because obviously Galactus' goal is to eat planets. Apparently, when they analyzed the Fantastic Four when they were in their ship, I guess he found out that Sue was pregnant. Galactus ends up making a counteroffer saying, I will spare your planet if you give me Franklin. And one of the things that I liked about the scene is how Reed Richards, he kind of looks at Sue Storm and then he looks up and he's basically like, yeah, no. The reason why he wants Franklin so badly is because he discovers that Franklin has this very powerful hidden power. He wants it so that way he can transfer his abilities and whatever it is that he has to Franklin so that way he can basically rest. I guess unalive himself, like he doesn't want to live no more. For me, it was kind of a plot hole because I'm thinking, okay, you eat planets, right, because you have this hunger and you hate it because you have to keep relying on eating planets. That's why you have the Silver Surfer to discover these planets so you can feed. If you don't want to continue living and you're just tired of this curse, this is just me, but couldn't you just starve yourself and then slowly rest? Right? Because, I mean, when he said,
so I can finally rest.
Are you saying you don't want to live anymore? Because that was my thought, right? He could possibly mean something else. So I was thinking to myself, you could just not eat, dude. And then there you go. I mean, it's going to hurt. But no, he'd rather just like take this baby and then transfer whatever he has to Franklin. And clearly the Fantastic Four refuses. Leads to this big ass fight scene. And honestly, Johnny Storm definitely has a lot to be here. Despite the fact that in my personal opinion, he has no personality. I'm going to talk about more about the Fantastic Four characters a little later, but going into the scene, right, Johnny Storm does this scene where he's like destroying these cables that are attached to Galactus. They go into like this hyper speed mode and then the Silver Surfer is like catching up to them. And then there's this really cool scene that I'll say where Johnny, he's trying to like shoot these cannons to get the Silver Surfer off his back, but when they're in this wormhole, I guess like everything is kind of curving. So if you wanted to shoot a bullet straight, it would curve, like in the movie Wanted. Curve the bullet. Oh, I just got a message. Okay, that's nice. Then this leads into the one of the best scenes that I actually liked in the film. So there's a scene when the Fantastic Four comes back, right? Everyone's like excited and happy because they basically think that the Fantastic Four won their fight. When they come back, everyone's just like, how did you do it? Like, what did you do? Did you like basically like pull one up on him, or did you negotiate, or like did you kick his ass hardcore, or like, you know, like did you outsmart him? Or, like, well, how'd you do it? Everyone's just asking all these questions. Reed Richards is kind of standing there in a way feeling pretty embarrassed. You can tell everyone has this, how'd you do it? Because they're so excited, they rely on him for everything, like I said, which is stupid. So he ends up telling the whole world that no, they didn't beat Galactus, he's still coming, and that they're still trying to figure out a way to stop him. One of the reporters asks this question, which is, well, what does he want? Like, does he just want to kill us? And he basically says, this is me, I think this is where there's a problem here. For Reed Richards being one of the smartest characters alive, I don't know why he would like just so casually tell them what it was that they discussed, because I feel like that should have been like a top secret type of thing. He basically tells them, well, Galactus actually did give us an offer to spare you guys in exchange for our son. But we told him no. But don't worry, we're gonna figure something out. Everybody gets mad, they flip out, then they turn their back on the Fantastic Four. They're calling them selfish. They're like basically guilt tripping them, telling them that all like they got families too. There's like all this stuff. Now the Fantastic Four is hated. I remember there was a part in the film where they were like saying there was the Galactus cult. Like there was all these people that were like in a cult that worship Galactus and they want him to come here. I was like, okay, but then we never really focused on that. It just came and went. This is just me. One thing that I don't like about what Marvel does with the Reed Richards character, now that they own the property again, is that I don't like how is it that these Reed Richards, they have a habit of being the smartest character, but then they end up doing some of the dumbest things ever. They say the dumbest things. Here's what I mean. In Doctor Strange World of Madness, right, when Reed Richards was talking, played by John Krasinski, which I thought would have been a great Reed Richards, I don't know why he didn't come back. When they were trying to kill Wanda, I'm here thinking, you might want to just go at Wanda. Don't really say anything, right? Like, give her the element of surprise. No. What does he do? He gives her a warning, and he specifically tells her,
Wanda, Black Bolt could destroy you with one whisper from his mouth.
What mouth?
dumbass, why did you tell her that? That's like one of the dumbest things you could possibly do. And then here, for Reed Richards, obviously anybody knows that if there's a threat, you want to keep it as low-key as possible, otherwise you're going to cause a panic. Even though I understand that they're going to have to break the news that Galactus is still coming, I felt like they could have left the whole negotiation part about the baby out of the way, but instead Reed Richards just kind of tells him everything, and then of course the whole world flips out on them. So I'm kind of thinking, you did that to yourself, my guy. I mean, I don't know why you would tell him the whole story. You should have just kept it very, very brief. They're basically starting a riot. There's a good scene where Sue Storm goes out there and speaks as a mother, right? She's not giving like a speech about like what's right or not. She's basically talking about the importance of family and basically caring for one another, which was a good speech. Again, the comedy in the film. Marvel has this really bad habit on relying on jokes now. Before, it worked. Now, it is just getting so old, okay? There are jokes that pop up randomly that just don't fit the tone. I don't see how you can have a serious moment and then afterwards you have to bring in some random comedy joke from one of the characters, here being Johnny Storm. It's really out of place and it's just repetitive at this point because it's so generic now. I don't really like how Marvel keeps trying to play it safe. To me, I'm kind of thinking, you know, I feel like these films can work if you just take risks and just give a serious story, because when they did that press conference scene, I liked it. There was intensity there. But then here, you know, because it's Marvel, you know, obviously you got a lot of jokes here and there that pop up out of the blue, and either you're gonna laugh or you're not. For me, I'll be honest with you, the whole entire time I was just like,
hey, what time is it?
Oh, okay, alright, well, and that came and went. Even the crowd I was in, by the way, my theater, it wasn't packed, but it was pretty much full. And even the majority of the time, a lot of people did not laugh. It was silent, Verse. I'm not lying. It was so quiet that only kids laughed at times, right? Because there was like this whole roll of family. Oh, the only ones that kept laughing are like the dumbest things, right? Like your average moviegoers. Other than that, other people were just kind of like, they're just waiting for the next scene to happen. It's so freaking tiring to hear these comedy jokes. It's just not working no more. At times, for me, the reason why I'm so on the subject of the humor is because it just comes off like they're trying too hard now to really just get a laugh, or for you to just want to enjoy these films because, hey, you know, let's make everything comedy and then that'll be great. I'm like, no, I'm here because it's comics and it's superheroes, and obviously I'm here because I want to see good writing and storytelling. I don't care about your freaking humor, okay? That doesn't mean anything if the story sucks. I made that more than clear. So here, until they change that, they're gonna keep having a problem with it. It's not all bad, but the majority of the jokes just did not work in this film. I can think of funnier scenes from the early 2000 Fantastic Four films that were funnier than what they did here.
Hey, look what the marketing guys did. Look, check it out. Listen. You love this.
It's clobbering time!
It's catchy, right? Isn't that great? Oh, that was the prototype!
Yeah, that scene had more personality, which I'll talk about later, and humor than most of the jokes in this entire film. Let that stick in for a minute, okay? Going further into the film, there was a scene earlier where Reed Richards, because obviously he's just experimenting a lot, he's doing all these things, he ends up creating like this machine that can teleport like small objects. So there's this one little scene where he like teleports an egg, and then he kind of thinks about it from like something he heard. He's like, wait a minute, what if we can actually transport the whole planet to another star that's like miles and miles away, and it'll take Galactus basically like 1,000,000 years to come and find us. And everyone's basically telling Reed Richards, how's that going to be possible? Well, we turn all the power off in the exact same time, we build these plants, and then we're just gonna teleport out of here. And believe it or not, it actually worked to a degree. They give this whole speech, they're making all these videos announcing to everybody that they gotta turn off all their power so that way they can teleport out of there and get the hell out of there before Galactus comes. The whole world comes together, all these construction workers, they build all these towers. The moment of truth comes, they end up turning on this machine. They're talking to basically every single leader in the world. They turn it on, and right when the planet was just about to teleport, then the Silver Surfer comes up out of nowhere, starts destroying these plants by like just going, kind of doing this weird pose. She's like releasing like force, right? Like on these power plants, destroying them. But then Johnny Storm decides to actually do something. This is something interesting, but it's not clarified that I'm going to talk about now. So when the plan goes to shit, Johnny Storm decides to go after the female Silver Surfer. When he goes after her, he has a plan of his own. He starts playing all these audio tracks from her planet, her own planet, of showing how much they appreciated her and what she did for them. But then he also got these audio logs of people from other worlds that she has helped devour, of people basically crying out for help and begging for mercy. Johnny basically guilt trips her. This is the problem that I have with the film, that it had no clarity. I don't know how the hell this was even possible, and it kind of came out pointless to a degree. After, when the first encounter with Silver Surfer and Johnny Storm, she says one thing. And then when they meet with Galactus, she just clarifies what she meant by that one thing, right? When Johnny hears that, I guess while Reed Richards was building all these machines to get ready to teleport the Earth, Johnny somehow does all this research to verify this one line. It took this 1 or 2 lines of dialogue that she said in her language for him to figure out what the language was and for him to even learn it. And to even somehow get audio from her planet and even get audio logs from other worlds that I don't think the Fantastic Four has even been at before. And then he's playing them. And then because he learned the language, right, I was thinking, okay, maybe there might be a scene where as he was trying to guilt trip her to make her feel bad about the things that she has done, that maybe they're going to have a whole scene where they're talking in this made up language, right? No, he gives one line. One measly freaking line. He spent weeks or months just learning how to speak her language, and that's it. And then he never clarifies how he knew, where he got this information from, how he was able to even learn this language, what each word meant. He never clarified any of that, nor does the film does even later, okay? They don't do anything. It's just, hey, Johnny happened to do all this off screen, and then that's it. That is some terrible ass writing right there, okay? You can't have something that interesting and then not clarify the source of information of how this character was able to do this, okay? This is basically Rey from Star Wars all over again. Alright, that's how it felt like. When the Silver Surfer basically got super guilt tripped, she wanted to run away, but then Johnny Storm kind of goes after her, and then he basically says, look, instead of getting my nephew, take me instead. But she says something like, no, it's not really your choice. So Johnny Storm got turned down from him trying to sacrifice himself for the greater good. Then she bounces. Then Reed Richards has an idea. He starts thinking, well, wait, actually, what if we just get Galactus off the ship, right? It seems like he relies on that ship. What if we get him off here? Kind of lead him into the city. It's going to cause some damage, but we lead him in here and we actually teleport him somewhere else where he can't really come back for a while. I'm like, okay, I could buy the plan. But then Reed Richards has this conclusion. He ends up thinking, in order for this plan to work, clearly he's after my son. So in order for this to work, I'm going to have to use him as bait. But the thing that I liked about Reed Richards is that because he's so intelligent, he can think of that plan instantly. And immediately, as he thought of it, he hates it. Like, he hates his own plan. I like that. That's good writing. I like how he knows that in order for him to make this plan work, he has to put his son in the front line in danger. But despite that, he's like, no, I'm going to try to figure out something else because I'm not going to do that. And I really appreciated that, right? He did that multiple times in the film. This is where I'm going to have problems with Sue Storm. One thing that I hate is that I think she knows how Reed Richards is, and you can even tell that Reed Richards is making it more than clear, look, I don't like the plan either, but it's clearly the only thing that's going to work because Galactus wants our son. He doesn't want anything else. He doesn't really care about our planet. He just wants Franklin. But for some reason, there are scenes where even though I know they're arguing because it's the safety of their child, Sue just kind of goes off on Reed Richards, kind of blaming him. Like, hey, like, I know what you're thinking, and yes, I know we got to do it. And then Reed Richards will be like, no, we don't have to. Like, I'll think of something. No, you won't. No, I'll think of something. No, you won't. Like, she has like this emotional meltdown moment, and I'm kind of thinking, but it's not really his fault. I mean, if you just heard in person that Galactus wants your child, it's common sense. I mean, you heard it from the big guy himself, so I don't really know why you're taking it down on Reed Richards for. I mean, he's trying to like give an alternative, but you're just kind of giving him a hard time. I really hated that at times Sue Storm would just kind of lash out on Reed, and Reed would just kind of take it a little bit. I'm like, come on, man, like, speak up, like, just be like, hey, it ain't my fault, like, you know, I want to protect your son too, but we got nothing else going on. Ben, talking about Ben Grimm for a minute, right? As I said, in this film, he has one of the best personalities in the film. He's so likable. Everybody loves him. You know, he's really down to earth. He loves cooking. Ben ends up actually finding this teacher who is gonna possibly be or will be his love interest. He ends up seeing her like right before the plan goes down, and he ends up like saying, hey, you know, like I just came over here. And because he meets her in this church, oh, are you here for like spiritual guidance? And he's like, no, I'm actually here for you. And I thought that was a really nice scene, because I'm like, yeah, like give Ben a break, you know, like he deserves to have like, you know, something nice for himself, right? Like he deserves to meet someone special. So yeah, good for him. And then there's even moments in the film where you get not too much, but a glimpse of Ben kind of like thinking about how he was in the past, right? Like him thinking about how he could be right now, and how he missed his old image and his old self, and how he wished he could be normal again despite what's going on with him and the whole world. You do get moments of that, which is really great. That's character development. Just, again, not too much of it. They focus a lot more on the other Fantastic Four members, but with Ben Grimm, as much as he's likable, I felt like you could have given just a little bit more of Ben Grimm. Then they basically talked to Mole Man, as I said. I hated him in this scene. They basically wanted him to build all these tunnels on the ground, or if he already made it, all the civilians go on the ground. Galactus comes down to Earth, and when he comes down, amazing. He came down to Earth, goes over here to the Fantastic Four. They leave a trap. So when Galactus is casually walking over there, they switch Franklin with a decoy and they take him into the building. They have this triangle set up, right, where the machine is at. So right when Galactus steps in there, they're going to teleport him right off the bat, right? Two things for me. One, it just looked a little too obvious. Even I felt like Galactus would have seen that, but okay, maybe he might think it's normal. Who knows? Secondly, Galactus is just kind of there, if I'm being honest with you. So when Galactus is just inches away from getting into this trap that the Fantastic Four set up, he figures it out, and then he takes a step back, and then he looks down and he basically says,
"Oh, you intelligent bugs."
Scans the whole area and actually finds Franklin, and then moves away from the machine, causing the Fantastic Four to fight Galactus on Earth, which was a cool scene. The thing for me, though, is that Galactus is just strolling when you think about it. He doesn't really do anything. If anything, he just kind of takes it, and he doesn't even say anything. He doesn't really come off menacing like as he was in the ship. When Galactus is fighting the Fantastic Four, Galactus is kind of like just shrugging them off, you know, he's kind of toying with them. There's one scene that I like. Galactus, right, had Reed Richards in his hand, and he's basically stretching him like crazy, right? Like he's toying with him. There's two problems for me. One, why did Galactus stop here? And two, Reed Richards can stretch way more than this. Even in other movies, it's done better. I hated how Galactus just had Reed Richards here. And don't get me wrong, I do believe that Reed Richards could have a limit of how far he can stretch. But just the limit here for this film felt very disappointing. Because I'm kind of like, you're telling me that that's it? Like, that's how far Reed Richards can stretch? I was kind of wanting Galactus to be like, let me test your limits. And then he like stretches him like this far with his hands wide open, and then you just see Reed Richards going, oh, you know, like that would have been great. That's the limit of his powers to stretch. I guess I will say his powers in the film do look spot on. You know, stretching capabilities in real life are kind of tricky because sometimes you can tell it's CGI and sometimes it's just not going to look right. So it is a hard effect to do. I can only imagine CGI artists having to deal with this. It must be a pain. When it came down to Sue Storm, as well as The Thing and Johnny Storm, they were fighting Galactus. But here's my problem with the last fight scene. There wasn't really a scene where the Fantastic Four was like, all right, everybody, together, and they all came at Galactus, right? They kept fighting him like one at a time. And I was really thinking to myself, do you guys not have like a plan of attack, like a team-up attack that you guys could do on Galactus? Reed Richards was like kind of like going after his back. Johnny Storm was trying to like have the Thing throw oil, and then he would like try to put him on fire, but that didn't do anything. And then here's the biggest thing for me that I kind of have an issue with. So Sue Storm, at one point in the film, Galactus finally grabs Franklin. He's getting ready to take him away in the ship. Sue Storm, as a mother, clearly got pissed off, and then she basically says, fuck it. And she goes, releasing all of the energy in her body to just push Galactus like maybe 1 or 2 city blocks. And Galactus just kind of takes it. He kind of just goes, ugh. And that's it. He doesn't really do anything. Galactus in this film, which is my problem, this reminded me of Age of Ultron. Because Joss Whedon, when he did that film, he specifically said Ultron was really tricky because he is so powerful. He had to write him and direct him in a way where he had to really hold back his powers. That's how I felt like here with Galactus. Galactus could have did way much more. He doesn't even say anything as the Fantastic Four is like pushing him away. He doesn't say anything to get under their skin or to throw them off their game or do anything. He just kind of stands there and takes the push. And I'm kind of thinking, is that really it for Galactus? He could do more than this. So that part was really disappointing. And then I'm thinking, Sue, if you're this strong, okay, cool. I mean, her powers are very interesting. I liked how they were done in this film. But I'm kind of thinking, couldn't you have just done that when he had stepped like an inch away from the machine? And you could have just been like, oh, fuck that. Turn the machine on, bitch. Couldn't there have just been a part where you just pushed his ass if you were that strong when he was just inches away? I told my friend that and he was just like, Again, you're a Marvel fan. I got it. I was like, whatever. Again, for me, plot hole. I felt like you could have just did it at that moment, but again, kind of like wanted to drag out the fight, and I was like, all right, I get it. It's Galactus. You want to make it well done and good. I get it. They managed to get Galactus into the portal because Sue Storm just pushed him so far, and then there was a moment where Johnny Storm, for the second time, was going to push Galactus into this portal. He ends up going on his comm, and he basically tells the Fantastic Four, hey, tell my nephew that I love him. And then right when he's gonna go and sacrifice himself to push him into this portal, the female Silver Surfer comes up out of nowhere and just goes, bitch, get out my way. And then she saves the day also. And I'm kind of thinking, damn, Johnny Storm just can't catch a break. Like, he's always trying to do like the heroic thing by sacrificing himself. Either the universe or the world or the writers are just like, you tried. Just stop. It's just not gonna work. Just stop. Johnny just can't catch a break here when it comes to him trying to actually do the right thing here. Silver Surfer comes, goes into the portal with him, and then the world is saved. There's a scene where Sue Storm actually dies. And when she dies, right, the Fantastic Four is having this grief moment, and then Franklin is like really wanting to comfort his mother. So when Franklin actually grabs his mother, Franklin actually has his ability that's so strong he managed to bring her back to life. And I was like, damn, I gotta actually search up who is this kid. I have no idea who Franklin is or what does he do. So then Sue Storm comes back to life, the whole world is happy, and then there's like this one scene where like the Fantastic Four is gonna get ready to go on TV again, and I guess the secretary comes up to them and brings up this baby outfit, and it has the 5 logo, so they wanted him now to be called the Fantastic 5, and they were like, yeah, we're not doing that, that's stupid. So then they leave, and then there's this whole dumb scene where like 3 of the members of the Fantastic Four, they're trying to figure out how to put this car seat on, and honestly, that scene dragged. At one point when that scene was happening, I was like, I'm waiting for the punchline because this is just getting stupid. Again, comedy. Yeah, so that's the Fantastic Four. Now talking about the end credit scene. The second credit scene that's at the very end of the film is just for comedy. Nothing really major there. The first credit scene, I would say, is major, but it came wasted because of the fact that it was already announced. Doctor Doom ends up making a small cameo in the film. And then in the movie, in the cameo scene, 4 years have passed by. So Franklin is like about 4 or 5 years old. He is basically very smart because he's reading like all these books like Moby Dick or whatever, and basically Sue Storm leaves for a moment. She comes back. She can feel that there's someone else in the room with Franklin. She kind of goes in there getting ready to like fight, but right when you walk up, you just see Doctor Doom in darkness, right, with like his mask just kind of like hanging out there, and then the credit ends, and I'm thinking, oh, okay, there he is. For me, I wasn't like, oh my gosh, it's Doctor Doom. I was just like, oh, he's there now. Okay, cool. Doomsday is next. When I left the theater, by the way, there was a guy, again, I went to the Regal Theater to see this, right? One of the crew members, right, who was getting ready to clean, was holding the door. Me and my friend left, and when I left, this guy looked at me and he was like, hey, so what you think of Doctor Doom? I just said, he's there. And then the guy looked at me like I was crazy. He goes, yeah, he's there and he's coming. Makes this face like I didn't think it was a big deal. I'm gonna tell you something. This end credit scene surprise was already spoiled. We know that Doctor Doom is coming. Again, Comic-Con, they announced that they were doing Doomsday, so we're already waiting for it. And what's even stupider, they already announced who was playing Doctor Doom, which is Robert Downey Jr., which is another issue. I don't like the fact that it's Robert Downey Jr. I made a whole video talking about it. I'm going to say it here. I don't like who's playing Doctor Doom. I genuinely hate the casting for that because it's Robert Downey Jr. I'm kind of already telling myself a theory that I'm like, oh, okay, he's going to be Doctor Doom, and it's just going to be a way to bring back Iron Man. I don't know why I get that feeling. Again, I could be wrong, but that's literally the theory I'm going for because there's a whole comic where Doctor Doom and Tony Stark had switched minds. That's the comic I'm already like going over and I already know about. Because they already announced it, Kevin Feige is doing this thing with the Marvel films where either he's bringing in like a really strong character with weak heroes, or he's already announcing characters that are coming just to get you to come see these films. That's how desperate Marvel is right now for them to want you to watch these films if they're already announcing the big surprises that are coming. I'm thinking to myself, why would you announce Doctor Doom like that at the very end of the Fantastic Four if you're going to announce it earlier before that? So that credit scene was kind of pointless. I feel like they could have did a better way to introduce Doctor Doom than to make it seem like it was such a big thing. The reasons why I left feeling disappointed now, ending this spoiler review, is because for one, I felt like Galactus was wasted here. Me personally, Doctor Doom is a villain for the Fantastic Four. I felt like either you could have picked another villain for them, or you could have just did Doctor Doom, but clearly you're going to save him for later, that's fine. But Galactus, I felt like could have been an Avenger level threat. Because it's Galactus. He's one of the most powerful MCU villains out there. So here, you could tell, if you don't know Galactus, you're not going to catch it. But if you know Galactus from the comics, he feels really held back. That was really disappointing for me. I hated that. He looked awesome. You got an awesome actor. His voice was awesome. A bunch of stuff with Galactus was awesome. But just action-wise, he sucked. And I hated that. He didn't do anything. When it came down to the Fantastic Four, there weren't really any smart techniques that they did when you think about it, right? Like, they did a lot of planning. They would communicate with each other. They had chemistry with each other, which was great. But they never really did, like, an attack, except for one scene, by the way. I almost forgot this. The clobbering time scene. They clearly built it up for the very last minute, and I don't know how it is for anyone else in theaters, but my theater was quiet when he finally said it. When he finally went, "It's clobbering time!" My theater just went... I'm not lying, by the way. That scene felt kind of flat for me when he finally said it. It didn't really have any impact for me. I was just kind of like, oh, there you go, he finally said it. I just wish that it could have been natural already for him to have said it. I hated that they built it up and it just came off really flat for me. I'm like, in the next film, just have him say it regularly. It's not that big of a deal. Just get to it already, please. It's just really stupid. For me, what I didn't like about the Silver Surfer coming back and sacrificing herself instead of Johnny is that after Johnny basically made her feel bad, there wasn't really like another scene where the Silver Surfer had time to like really reflect about what she heard and what she saw. In the film, they show you this whole flashback about her origin, right? About her being on her planet. I guess she had like a daughter, and then Galactus had came. She made an offer to help him out, and then you see her get her powers. That's it. When she leaves, you never really see what else she does. You don't see where she goes. She doesn't really reflect. She just comes out of nowhere, kicks Johnny out of the way to obviously protect him, but then that's it. You don't really get any verification as to why she did what she did also. So to me, I kind of hated that that wasn't explored a little more. I kind of wish they could have focused more on the Silver Surfer a little bit because people wanted to see the Silver Surfer. Again, the male version, but we got the female version. And here, I didn't like the fact that they brought the female version, but after a minute, I was like, alright, whatever. Especially because I guess in the film, Johnny has like this thing for her. He has a crush on her, basically. And here's my issue with Johnny Storm in the film. In the beginning of the film, right, everyone's trying to make this whole defense for the film that Johnny Storm, the reason why he's fine here is because people are worrying that he's not really going to be his character, which is like a ladies' man, and that it's not going to be seen here. People were saying, no, it's here, it's implied. He just never had enough time to show it. I'm here thinking, you mean the origin scene in the first 10 minutes where they're showing the Fantastic Four doing all this stuff? You're telling me you couldn't have a scene where Johnny was like checking out ladies, or if he was even on a date? Like, you telling me you couldn't show that at all? And then there was one scene where for me, I was kind of like, okay, you were safe there. I don't know why you did it. When they were getting ready to go into space, Sue Storm, right, is talking to the cameras, and there was a point where she goes, hey ladies, my brother, by the way, is going up there too. Like, hey, you might want to watch out for this, ladies, man. And then Johnny, for some reason, is like, like, he looked confused or a little embarrassed that she did that. Two things. One, why are you saying that? And two, why isn't he saying that? Why is she the one announcing that he's a ladies' man? I feel like the writers, when they did this film, when they reshot it, I don't know if it's because they're worried about feminists or how, like, you know, I guess a man is gonna be or whatever. Look, we're dudes, okay? Clearly, the opposite sex is gonna be attracted to the opposite sex, okay? That's just natural. I don't know why they're so scared to have Johnny just be a guy, so they have to make Sue Storm do it. That's literally how it felt like for me. It felt like a safe scapegoat. I know people might have an issue with the way how I'm saying it, but it genuinely felt like that because I'm like, well, why isn't he doing it? And by the way, if you're also going to be telling me, well, when the Silver Surfer was after them, did you not hear Johnny? Don't tell me how to kill sexy aliens. That's nothing, guys. He clearly has a crush on her, sure. I know guys at work that can say better quippy lines than that shit, and it wasn't even that much in the film. That's why in the beginning of the first review, I literally said, where? Where is Johnny being Johnny?
You know, it's amazing. For an 80-year-old woman, you'd be surprised.
You are Trouble.
Trouble is my middle name.
Oh, you're hot.
Why, thank you. So are you.
Care to join me?
Come on, you're a superhero?
Yes.
Sure you are. Let me guess. That's your magic briefcase.
No, it's actually a normal briefcase.
All right, fine. Show me what you got, but it better be cool.
How's this hot stuff?
If you know anything about Johnny, like, it's not even just him being a ladies' man. He's over the top. He's quippy. His attitude is, like, really like, oh, man, like, come on. Like, I really wanted to have some fun. He's always cracking up jokes. You don't really see that here. It's really held back with Johnny Storm. And me, personally, the actor did a good job with what he was able to do, but I do feel like he was a miscast. I did not like Johnny Storm in this film. He was kind of weak, which is weird to say because he had a lot to do, but personality-wise, character-wise, he just felt weak to me. I didn't like Johnny Storm in the film. People do out there, and if you do, that's fine, but I just didn't like him. And again, Pedro Pascal. I'm gonna tell you guys something. When I was on Instagram, right, I follow a lot of subscriptions, right? The people that talk about films, right? So obviously when Fantastic Four was coming out, they were showing pictures and promoting the film. I saw a comment that I could not stop thinking about where somebody said, one thing that I don't like about Pedro Pascal being in this film is that he looks like a guy that's cosplaying. That one comment never left my mind when I was seeing this film. I was like, he does. He really does look like someone that's like from Comic-Con who's cosplaying as one of the Fantastic Four members because he doesn't shave his mustache. Pedro Pascal didn't even make the effort to look different. He looks the same in every single one of his movies. That's why I said it's just Pedro Pascal in this film. So again, I left the film feeling disappointed. That's why originally I wanted to give this a 6 out of 10. It is the best adaptation of the Fantastic Four we've gotten, don't get me wrong. But me personally, even though the film is fine, I do prefer the 2005 and 7 one. I actually like those a little bit better. Yeah, they got their flaws majorly, don't get me wrong. But they were more in character, and honestly they were a lot more fun to watch than this. Honestly, like, this to me just wasn't really the Fantastic Four that I imagined. You know, you could tell there were a lot of problems even just with casting alone. So, you know, that's just me, guys. I understand that, okay? The film just comes off like, alright, it passed. I know Pedro Pascal's gonna be involved more. I know he's already shooting Doomsday, so I'm like, alright. I just wish he could make an attempt to really look like the character. Come on, man, it's just a stash. Just shave the damn thing, dude. It's not that serious. We all do it as an actor. We all gotta change our look. I don't know why you're so special. Other than that though, verse, I mean, I'm trying to think of anything else that I didn't miss, but as far as I'm concerned, there's this whole debate with Superman and Fantastic Four being better. Clearly, I'm Team Superman, obviously, right? It's not even a secret. And this is just my thoughts, so let me know what you guys think. You know, did I miss anything? Was there anything else that you guys wish you wanted to see? What you guys think about Galactus or the Fantastic Four, or even the casting? I'd be happy to know what you guys think. Again, we're just here talking, so I'm just giving you guys my opinion. I'll be happy to hear your guys's if you guys want to. So other than that though, verse, if you like what you saw, do me a favor, hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notification for more content as always. Look forward to the next movie review, guys, and with that said, I'll see you next time. Later, verse.